Well, good morning. This morning I'm reading from the book of Esther. And the Bible tells us that the king, he couldn't sleep. So he told him to bring the royal records, and they were reading those to him. And he was reminded that Mordecai had let the king know about a conspiracy to try to do damage or to assassinate the king. And so he decides, what's been done to reward Mordecai for this? Well, they said nothing, king, not yet. And so he said, all right, well, I've got to figure out a way to recognize Mordecai for what he's done. And it turns out that Haman was out in the outer court. And so he says, well, bring him in. So verse 6 of chapter 6 says, so Haman came in, the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself? Haman is the enemy in this book of the Bible. He is the adversary, and we learn that he hates all of the Jews, and he has devised this plan to trick the king into giving authority to just wipe them out. He's convinced the king that they are an enemy of the state because he hates them. And we see here that he has in his heart, the Bible says, Haman jumps to a conclusion. When the king says, what should be done to give honor to the man that the king wants to give honor to? Haman immediately jumps to the conclusion that it must be himself. I mean, he's the king's buddy. He's such a great guy. He is such an important person in the kingdom. Surely the king wants to give honor to Haman. Now, we realize that the king doesn't want to give honor to Haman. He wants to give honor to Mordecai. So Haman comes up with this plan of how to honor the man. And he says, okay, good, go do that to Mordecai. And it just embarrasses and shames Haman to death. But when we come to the New Testament, the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 12, verse 3, for I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. Haman made the mistake of thinking way too highly of himself. He jumped to a conclusion, and the reason he jumped to the conclusion is because in his heart, Haman is really proud of Haman. Haman's the kind of guy that, he's looking out for number one. He's looking to advance himself. He's looking to better his position in the kingdom. And he could care less about other people. The only thing he's concerned about is himself. But the Bible tells us that if we're going to think soberly, we're not going to think too highly of ourselves. And this doesn't mean that we have to degrade ourselves and constantly put ourselves down and that sort of thing. That's not what it's saying at all. What it's saying is look to somebody like Haman and realize what a trap that is. When you go through life thinking that everybody owes you something, thinking that the only purpose in life is for you to climb up one more step or one more rung every time you get a chance, and to use other people for your ends, and like Haman, to get rid of anybody that you don't like. Well, of course, what we find is that Jesus tells us that we're to love our enemies. Jesus tells us we're to pray for other people. The scriptures tell us that we are to not think too highly of ourselves, but think soberly, and that we should consider others. We're called to love others, and love gives. It always has, and it always will. God bless you this morning. I just want to encourage you today. We can look to guys like Haman for bad examples. We don't want to be like that. Let's be like Jesus, and let's show love. God bless you. Have a great day.